Here we go. Hey guys, it's been a while. I had busy times. I'm still busy actually, but I found some free time to make a new video for you. In this video, I want to show you some new features I'm most excited about related to the sculpt mode in Blender. This news will be related to all the releases we had after Blender 2.8 came out, not just the latest one. I also want to show you what's expecting us in the future, and I can do this because I have superpowers. No, I don't have superpowers, unfortunately. The only super thing I do is the stalk activity I'm practicing on the Pablo de Barro's profile on Twitter. For those who don't know, Pablo de Barro is the developer that stands behind all the new super cool features that we can find in the sculpt mode in Blender. Time to time he shares on his Twitter account some sneak peeks about the new things he's working on, and that's pretty cool. Thank you, Pablo. Anyway, enough of small talks and let's go to the video. Wait, I forgot to tell something. In this moment, I'm collaborating with Zacharias Reinhardt from CG Boost, and who cares, you could say? Well, maybe you will care about the fact that from now on you can have 10% discount on all CG Boost products. If you want to have it, just go to the description and follow the instructions. Also, keep in mind that a small amount of the money you spend will be used to sustain this channel. That means more videos from me, and this is cool, isn't it? I think it is, yeah. Anyway, enough of small talks and let's go to the video for real. So let's get started with the stable version, and now it's Blender 2.82. The first thing we can see related basically to all the 2.8 versions in general is that now we have these panels that are basically workspaces. These panels are based on different moments of the pipeline production. There is one for UV mapping, for modeling, and obviously also for the sculpting. If we click on the sculpting panel, it brings us directly to the sculpt mode. That's nice. And the second thing we can see when we are already in the sculpt mode is that now all the brushes are split by colors into categories according to what is their function. And this is something that makes my obsessive compulsive part really happy. Anyway, let's take a look to these categories. There is the blue one, the red one, yellow one, and the one that has basically no color. Starting from the first category, that is the blue one, we have the brushes that add or remove geometry from our mesh in some way. Here we can find brushes like blob or clay strips or draw. The second one is red, and here we have the brushes that don't add or add just a little volume to our geometry. Here we have brushes like smooth, scrape or flatten. The yellow ones are the brushes that deform our mesh in some way, like elastic deformation or rotation or nudge kind deformation. The last category is the one with no color. Here we basically have the all other kinds of brushes, like mask mesh, mesh filter, transform tools, or the pencil that you can use for nodes. So let's dig a bit deeper into the changes of each category. In the blue one, for example, we have one new brush, Draw Sharp. As for the remaining, it looks like the other brushes were changed a bit to highlight each one's features. Red brushes. Here we have no new brushes, but some of the old ones, as in the blue category, were a bit changed. I especially love what they did with the scrape brush. Now it has this characteristic kind of strokes, very similar to the scratches of a chisel. Very nice. Yellow brushes. Much more things are going on in this category. We have 3 new brushes here. The first one is multi-plane scrape. A super great brush could be really useful to sculpt things like hair or make hard surface kind of things. Then we have elastic deform, and I would say that the name speaks for itself. It treats basically the mesh as if it was made out of elastic material. That's it. The third and the last one is the pose brush. This brush splits your mesh in different parts and then allows you to pose your mesh. And it does it like it was really rigged. You can change the number of segments splitting your mesh by changing this value in brush settings. And by increasing the smooth iterations value, you can reduce a bit the topology distraction. This brush is super useful with things like arms, feet, fingers, and so on. A great feature for those who like to sculpt an already posed character. Last category, the no color one. We have a bunch of new stuff here. Let's start with Slide Relax brush. This brush allows us to influence the topology of our mesh by sliding and relaxing it. This brush affects only the topology, not the shape of the mesh, unless you change the topology so much to affect the shape as well. Next, we have Simplify. If you've been using Blender for a while, you probably remember that to change the topology subdivision of your mesh without affecting the shape, you had to select one of the brushes that could affect the topology, then bring the strength to 0, and then use it to change the subdivision. Now you know what? You can throw away this knowledge because you don't need it anymore. Because now we have the Simplify brush, and this is exactly what it does. All you need to do is just set the subdivisions you need in Topo settings and go on. Let's go to the next one. As you can see, now we have also the Busk and the Lasso masking tool. But the greatest thing related to masks is not this new tool, but the new features we have in the mask options. Now we have things like Smooth Mask, Sharpen Mask, Expand Mask by topology or by curvature, and a super cool function that finally allows us to create a new mesh from a mask selection. It's not like we couldn't before, but again, like with the topology thing, it was too complicated. Now it's just few clicks. All you need to do is draw your mask, go to the mask menu, mask extract, and you're done. Now you have a separate surface with Solidify modifier. Just don't forget to apply the Solidify modifier on the extracted surface if you want to sculpt it. One last thing we can do now with masks is cut out parts of our object or split them with mask slice and fill, or mask slice to new object. These tools are also super cool, and I was really waiting for something like this. The next new brush is Box Hide, and it basically does the same thing that does the shortcut Alt-B, hides a part of your object. Next one, Mesh Filter. This brush allows you to apply some effects, you can choose them here, to the whole mesh or according to the normals of the axis we selected. Some of the effects are smooth, scale, inflate, and random. Pretty nice. The last new thing related to brushes is that now we have the transform tools here. That means that if we want to scale, rotate, or move our mesh or just some part of it, we don't have to go to the edit more anymore. and that's great. Okay, enough talking about brushes. Let's see what else we have here. The first thing we can see is that now our cursor is different and it's following the normals of the mesh. That's a great feature that we were waiting for a while, very useful to understand where you're going to sculpt. It is possible to change the sensibility of the cursor by changing the normal radius. Each brush has its own value, and the biggest is the value, the smoothest is the reaction of the cursor to the irregularities of the surface. Something that deserves our attention as well is the UI changes. From 2.8 on, we don't have options panel on the left side anymore, and all the brush settings was moved to the top bar and also 2 panels on the right side. I actually pretty like the top panel idea, because in this way we have all the options at hand with the least waste of workspace possible. And here in this panel we can find one of the greatest new options of the 2.8 version, the remesh tool. Here's an example to make you understand why this feature is so important. The leg of this cat was realized with the help of the skin modifier. This modifier sometimes causes intersections, and I didn't notice them until I finished to sculpt. And when it came to the point where I had to join the 2 meshes, I mean the body and the legs, I started to have problems like holes, internal faces and such. So without remesh tool, the only thing we could do in this case was option 1, come back to the base mesh, split legs in different parts, apply modifier and then join them one by one together. Option 2, just keep the 2 meshes, legs and body, separate. Now that we have this super cool remesh thing, we can forget about these problems and just click the remesh button. And it solves all intersection and internal faces problems. This is super great. I've been waiting for this feature for a long time. Anyway, let's take a look to what we have in the options of this function. First of all, we have the voxel size. This defines the density of your mesh. Lower values give you higher density and vice versa. Then there is adaptivity that should reduce density in the areas where we have less details. Then we have fixed pose option, and this option focuses on producing a better topology, but pay attention to this because it could take away some details. Smooth normals option gives us a mesh with a smooth aspect. Preserve volume focuses on preserving the original mesh details and shape as much as possible. Preserve paint mask allows us to keep a mask we painted on our old mesh, if we did. Now, if we go and take a look to the experimental 2.83 version, we will find clay thumbs. That's pretty interesting. It simulates thumb interaction with real clay. Very, very nice. We will also find one more brush, cloth brush. A super cool brush that allows us to treat our meshes like if they was made out of cloth material. We can pinch it, drag it, grab it, and do many other cool different things. I'm personally super excited about this brush. It will save me a lot of headaches. Okay, I think that the moment to take a look to the future of sculpting in Blender has come. To do so, let's go to the Twitter profile of Pablo Dobarro. The first thing is sculpting snap slots. This function will make possible to use another mesh data block to sculpt into a different one. It will be also possible to store more than one versions of the same mesh. Looks really cool. Then we have vertex colors. With that one we'll have the possibility to paint directly in the sculpt mode, not only using colors but also with an alpha channel. Next one, voxel size. This tool will give us the possibility to control and see the remesh tool voxel value directly from viewport. This is gonna save us a lot of time wasted to try out different values to see if they fit. Great tool. Key mesh feature should allow us to store different versions of our mesh in different keyframes on our timeline. Pretty cool if you want to do nice animations. The sculpt face group system is a visibility system that will give us the possibility to split our mesh in different groups marked by colors. We'll be able to hide or transform the selected groups just like we do with our masks in this moment, but this time we'll be able also to save them. Looks really promising. This was the Blender new features I'm most excited about. If you want to dig deeper on all this stuff, I recommend you to try the trialable things and stay up to date with news. If you don't know how, don't worry, I have some suggestions for you here. First, strictly related to the news about sculpting is follow Pablo Dobarro on Twitter. For those who don't know, Pablo is the super great developer that is taking care of the sculpting features of Blender. And he's doing an amazing job, I would say, isn't he? Second thing you could do is to take a look time to time to the Get Involved section of the Blender Foundation official website. Here you will find roadmaps, developer meeting notes, press releases and such. Obviously, all these things aren't just sculpting related, but related to all the aspects of Blender. One more cool and also funny way to stay up to date with Blender news is following Blender Today. This live show happens once a week on Mondays usually, and it's presented by Pablo Vasquez, a super nice guy that tells us what's going on in the Blender development. He also invites nice guests time to time and answers our questions. If you want to make a question without being ignored, don't post it in the live chat of YouTube. Go to blender.community website. Here you will find the Blender Today section. Each time a live is about to start, someone will make a post like this one. And under this post you can write your questions. And if Pablo has enough time, he will give you answers. In the same website you will find the Graphic All section. In this section you can download and try out some of the new features developers are working on, like Cloud Brush for example. If you click on the post, you can see that there is this button that allows you to download the brush and try it out. Don't forget that all the stuff is in development, so probably there could be bugs and such. If you want to leave feedbacks, you can use the link you will find under each post. At this point, there are just a couple of things left unsaid, and one of these is thank you for watching this video. And don't forget to check out the description. You will find there all the links related to the things I talked about here. Let me know in a comment what is your favorite new feature in Blender Sculpt mode. And if you liked this video, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and see you in my next video. Bye!